All right, to get more on this, let's speak to Andrew Sharp. He's in Tokyo and he is the Deputy Politics and Economics Editor at Nikkei Asian Review. Fantastic to have you on the show. What makes this crisis so different when it comes to Asia?
Well, thank you and good evening, and thank you for having me. I think the difference is just the sheer scale of the crisis. The IMF said it's going to cause the biggest recession since the global depression in the 1930s. It's the scale. Countries are shutting down. Whole towns, the shops are closed. People aren't going out. I think it's obvious. It's just the economies are being closed down. So it's going to be the biggest probable crisis of our lifetimes.
It's incredible to hear that. And what does the IMF say about China and India, the biggest economies?
Well, on China, it's forecasting a fall to around GDP growth of around 1%. Obviously, China has recovered faster than other economies in the sense that the issue with the virus there is less severe than it was, of course, when it originated there. And for India, I mean, the economy was in trouble anyway. There are many issues there. Some of Modi's moves, there's high youth unemployment. So it was struggling anyway. So those two were really going to struggle. But if you look at the IMF's forecasts, both those economies are likely to bounce back in 2021. I think China to around 8%, India to around 7%. So more, a faster pace of growth, a V-shaped recovery from this big crisis.
And let's look at a bit more, Andrew, at some other IMF predictions. Japan and Australia. Why would these two advanced economies be hit hard?
Yeah. Okay, well, Japan, I obviously know the best because I've lived here for quite a long time. It was struggling anyway. The government just put in a new sales tax, increased that to 10%, and that really hit consumption, really hit it hard. And Japan could have gone into a technical recession anyway, and then it had the double whammy of the coronavirus hitting Japan. So clearly, Japan's economy is going to falter around 5% this year, according to the IMF. And the question is whether it will be a V-shaped or a flatter recovery for Japan. But I think it's going to take quite a few years for it to get even back to the levels it was at last year. And as for Australia, well, I'm sure you're aware, it hasn't had a recession in like 30 years or something. It's very reliant on China for its exports, coal, etc. And so it's really a very sharp 6% fall, 6% rise the following year, according to the IMF. So those two economies could definitely be hit really, really hard. And it'll be interesting to see if they recover.
And talking about recovery, Andrew, a quick one before I let you go. The entire Asian region, how quickly do you expect it to rebound when this pandemic ends?
Well, if I knew that, I'd be out there making money predicting that or something.
So would so many people,
It's impossible to say. We don't know. I mean, obviously, the brunt of the crisis is in Europe and the United States right now. So it's hard to say clearly what's going to happen. But as things stand now, it's not as bad here as it is elsewhere in the world. But as you know, and we're all fearful of, it could come back at any point. So I think it all depends on countries keeping measures in place and making sure that there is no second or third wave of an outbreak in their country.
Indeed. Third wave, you've just said there. Hadn't heard that one before. Andrew Sharp in Tokyo, thank you very much indeed. Appreciate it.